Welcome to the Smoking Rope Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Ryan Basore, and today we are super excited because we have on the mayor of Kalkaska, Harley Wales. Harley, thanks for being on the show today. We're pumped up.
Glad to be with you.
It's
All
an
right,
extended
and
applause.
there we go.
I like that.
Yep, and
Can't make it
we
stop.
got Kevin over at Truu Cannabis down here in Lansing with me. Kevin, what's happening this morning?
Oh, everything's good, man. Of course, as soon as we're ready to log on, I'm computer update time, right? So we're a little bit behind, but I appreciate your guys' patience, and I'm excited to talk to the mayor of Kalkaska. This should be fun.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Tom, up in Kalkaska at Real E Solutions. I know Tom's got a lot of questions, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. Tom,
Hey,
how you
what's
doing?
going on? Glad to be here.
Hey. All right. Well, I first met Harley Wales. It was I believe when you were running for mayor the first time in 2018.
Yep.
You were it was a special election, and Harley won that, and definitely was a charismatic, intelligent guy. Knew what was going on, and was very pro cannabis, which is what we were excited about, of course. And I first got up into Kalkaska late in 16, and was just so impressed with the way Kalkaska was doing things. I met Denny and Cash and Scott, and at the time Jeff, and it was professional. You guys were honest, and you were all about building this community and benefiting from it the right way, and you real selective on who was to get in, as far as just as running background checks and all that type of stuff. So super impressed with Kalkaska, super excited about what's going on there, because to me it's a microcosm of what cannabis can do for a community, and I'm excited to hear about it, Harley. But a little bit more about Harley. 15-year resident of Kalkaska, and you actually work over at Kalkaska Memorial Health Center. And before that, I did a little research, Harley, over at the Regis Court, where you turned around troubled small businesses
Yep.
and worked on marketing and skills and team building, which makes a lot of sense now watching you work as the mayor of Kalkaska. So with that, I'll shut up. Let's let Harley talk about himself a little bit and get right into what's happening in Kalkaska, and how has the town benefited.
Yeah, well, thanks for touching on a little bit of my history there, Ryan. Um, so I basically took my former skills back in the commercial world into the political realm. Changed up my job. I work in long-term care. It's very mellow. It's very nice. So I could really put a little more focus into the political side of things. The village had already grasped the medical marijuana, and then I had the opportunity of pushing us forward into recreational marijuana. So, with a little political maneuvering, we were able to up our restricted licenses, which would be our storefronts, to lure a little more people in, and then completely unrestricted in our industrial park for the grow operations. So, what this has led to for Kalkaska is being kind of pulled out of the drudge of uh, the ex oil field days, where you saw companies failing and we had multiple buildings in our industrial park which were just empty warehouses people used for storing their things, instead of their true purpose, which would be to become businesses. So we've been able to turn the industrial park now into a point where we're actually talking now about building a third industrial park because we're running out of room. We currently have now, I believe, 56 or 58 licenses for cannabis within the village. That, of course, includes stacked licenses for both recreational and medical. But um, it's pretty amazing for the village, and what that has meant is that what we're facing this year now is a match 1-to-1 from the cannabis industry's income for the village and what our tax base is. So what does that mean for the village? Well, it means a whole lot. We are an economically depressed community, which is now starting to thrive with the fair wages that the cannabis industry is paying. It's now one of the rival competitors for jobs here in Kalkaska, and they're finding people to work, but we're now finding that instead of becoming maybe the bedroom community for Traverse City, it's kind of become the other because we don't have any housing, and we're pulling people in from all the surrounding communities now to work here. So what that's meant for our little village, well, during this whole pandemic, when everybody was suffering and shutting things down, our restaurants and our businesses were able to thrive even with the reduced abilities to provide. You have all of these companies coming in to build out the grows and the workers that are coming here to work, and just surviving on to-go orders. It allowed all of our restaurants to stay open. It was really great.
We're also in Kalkaska in the industrial park, and I can definitely, support the fact that this community is thriving, and it's amazing to see every day, and we're always happy to, we're super stoked to be a part of it, and looking into the future, our biggest problem is now housing. You're right. We're facing a housing shortage in northern Michigan, especially in Kalkaska, and we deal with it every day. We're trying to find housing for people that want to move closer, people that want to move into the village, and I've seen this village turn around in just the 3-4 years that we've been here. It's an incredible thing. I mean, have you found that now we need to make more space for more industrial development, but also are there further plans for more residential, more apartment type living, or some kind of housing projects in the works to kind of help with the situation?
Yeah, actually, ironically, a couple of those in the cannabis industry have come forward and would like to help facilitate that. One with an apartment complex and one with something along more the lines of a condo complex. And we've also talked with one of the current owners that owns a few of the motels in town, and he has also expressed some interest in turning one of those hotels into an apartment complex as well. We know we need about 235-ish homes directly here in Kalkaska, and then any developer that would like to put anything in on the outskirts, we're more than welcome to talk with too.
Hi, Mayor Wales. This is Kevin Pybus over at Truu Cannabis. During my research for the show, I picked up a video of you on Facebook having a conversation about medical marijuana. And I got to tell you, the first thing that I recognized in that whole thing and really impressed me is your level of education in marijuana. You've taken this seriously. Obviously, we run into a lot of people at different municipalities as we go through trying to get regulations passed. And a lot of times we run into people that don't have a clue. They don't understand the difference between hemp. They don't understand the difference between cannabis or CBD or any of the other products. To me, it seemed to me that you've dove into this, full steam. You've grabbed it and you understand it. Your explanations were on point. What keeps you motivated with marijuana, and what got you into being interested in it in the first place? Does that come from your time in the healthcare field? Have you brought that over with you?
It's actually twofold. So yes, the healthcare, I did get to see the results of that. But actually, when we decided to go recreational, there was actually a lot of blowback from the healthcare community here. The local hospital's administration actually came to our meetings in protest to going forward with it, which of course left me in kind of a difficult position as being one of the low-ranking people at the hospital, and having the COO and all the senior leadership come to my meeting was a little intimidating. However, it is my duty as a political figure to support my community and my village and make the best decisions for them. Those are my duties. So learning, becoming educated, knowing what I'm getting the community into, knowing the different facets of the industry, what a multi-integrated entity is, knowing the basics, and then knowing actually as deep as I could go in learning about the different portions of the industry. And again, getting the updates from MRA, knowing exactly where the laws stand, what is the latest thing coming around the corner. Those are things that I all need to know because I have to integrate them then into our political scheme here. And if we have to change some things in our ordinances and update things, then we do it as soon as we can. When we first started out, our fees were a little higher in the village because there was a smaller portion of the industry supporting it. But I was really happy just a couple months ago to update our fee schedule and actually reduce the fees that are now charged towards the cannabis industry because it has grown beyond our greatest dreams. And so now we can actually kind of level the playing field out amongst all the different players that we have now. So I think that my background in cannabis was pretty minimal until I took on the job of having to manage it for the village, and was able to find some great resources in both local cannabis people and online, also doing a lot of studying of what took place in other municipalities in Colorado and et cetera, to kind of gauge as to what could be expected to happen here. And I was actually happy to introduce a couple of the Journal of American Medicine's articles to my coworkers at the hospital, in which it shows the studies where opioid use drops, both prescribed and the illicit market drops. Your deaths from opioid overdoses drops. And being in northern Michigan, we do have a problem with the opioid epidemic. So it was nice to just be able to put that right in front of their face out of a Journal of American Medicine article and say, this is what we're doing for the village. Besides the financial benefits, let's see where this goes. And that really helped also.
Well, I commend you for your approach and being proactive, taking the bull by the horns, and making a successful industry up in Kalkaska. I've visited Tom several times to come up and tour his facility and have meetings up there. And the feel, the vibe, it's just different. It's one of those things where I feel like when I'm up in Kalkaska that the community and everybody around is kind of rallied around this. And really made it a great atmosphere to work in. Ryan and Tom can also attest to this. When we've gone to other municipalities, we'll be lucky if we have 50% of the people, for it and 50% against it. And so it creates this weird vibe where you don't really feel supported, But I commend you guys for the efforts you've made up there, getting educated in this topic, because you guys have created quite an environment up there that's really conducive, I think, to creating a really good industry up there. So, good job on that.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, Kalkaska's been this test kitchen, the way that I see it, and the way that you guys have embraced our industry is helping it thrive. And we do appreciate your sensible approach at how you guys are structuring things and adjusting as things come up, and not just be linear focused on how we approach, fees and how. I mean, the book hasn't been written, so we have to write it together. If we don't, then we're going to get it wrong. And if we get it wrong, then the people will be there immediately to say, "We told you so. You shouldn't have had him come in here." And it's awesome. I can't state enough.
Harley, it's kind of a statement than a question, but one of the things that really drew me Kalkaska, I'm from a little town, and as far as like some of the surrounding, suburbs around here, grew up talking a lot, talking down about our town and all that. You get all that, and I was in Kalkaska early, and I would talk to other people. As that was early on, I was going to Traverse City, different spots, and all these people, all these residents, all these other municipalities sticking their nose up a little bit about Kalkaska, and meanwhile, you guys just put your head down, got to it, went to work, and we're seeing a lot of lawsuits and mess in other municipalities. So I just wanted to say that I'm loving it. I'm loving the comeback story, and it's exciting. But something I think is really cool that when I see about Kalkaska now, and it's I think good for society in general, is there's a pretty charged political up there for a while, a few years back. And Harley came in and was the new mayor, and I knew people from down here, progressives that were, I think, helping even down there, and had said great things about you. But it's cannabis. I'm up there, and it seems like that's not like when everyone's interacting, everyone's friendly, happy. You get like the left and right seem to be getting along. It's done a lot in my mind, and how is that the way you're seeing it? And is the community just really starting to bond together? Can you attribute some of it to cannabis?
I certainly can, and interestingly enough, so when the first election came around, and it was a recall election, and it was pretty heated. There was a lot of dirt thrown back and forth on both sides, and I did beat Jeff. But now I see Jeff on a weekly basis coming in doing site plans, um, and our interaction is, hey man, how you doing? Shaking hands. There's no dirty water under anything. It's all good, and I think that feeling is rubbing off in the community because people see us interacting like that. What's going on?
100%.
Yeah, and I
Nice.
think that we have kind of chosen to be the examples for the community, and really not a lot of that left and right battling going on, especially when something happens in the community. You notice how there's such an outpouring from everybody. Nobody's looking to see what your political affiliation is after your house burns down. They're just jumping in to help. And I think that's really helped the community come together on both sides.
Mayor Wales, have you guys been approached at all by other communities seeing the success that Kalkaska has had to maybe kind of work on a template for their community to kind of move forward? And then I guess my second part would be, you've now been elected to be the mayor of Kalkaska. You've been working in that position for a little bit of time now. Do you have any aspirations to, move forward and maybe get into state politics or try to use some of your experience you've developed moving forward?
Okay, so two answers. No, I don't have any ambitions to go into state politics at this time. However, we are ambitiously pursuing the transformation of the village into a city. We think that could create a lot. We've been acting like a city now for a couple of years, and I think it's time that we become that. So that's the current political push that I'm getting behind in the coming months. Um, what was the other question, Kevin?
Being approached by other municipalities with the success that Kalkaska has had in the
Oh,
marijuana
and
industry.
that has maybe not on a daily basis, but at least on a weekly basis, from all over Michigan. Anybody who is trying to pursue it or wants to get it on their ballot or has a meeting coming up, they reach out quite frequently. And I'm more than happy to send them our ordinances and give them the latest updates on things of what we're doing and how we're pursuing it. And more than welcome to always answer questions.
So Harley, I was curious, man, because we haven't had a chance to really speak, but we used to talk quite a bit before COVID hit, and kind of hamstringed everyone into their caves, and
Yeah.
we really have we were working towards things like, so as other municipalities work towards just, do we even allow this to happen here and have that argument? Kalkaska is having, I mean, I believe we're having positive conversations towards events, cannabis events, lounge, all these next frontier type things in the industry that a lot of municipalities can't even get towards. They can't even
Right.
decide if they want to allow it. So what do you see for the future, like the next step, other than just opening more industrial parks and stuff and bringing more business in? But I see, this is the new frontier for Kalkaska after a timber boom, an oil boom, now the cannabis boom. What do you believe is the next thing, the next step for Kalkaska?
Well, I believe early on, one of the Northern Express magazine deemed us the marijuana mecca, and mecca being the place where people flock to get some type of spiritual relief or maybe just to enjoy a little cannabis. And I can definitely foresee that in the future becoming a destination. Um, as we build out and grow a little bit, this could become the destination spot. You don't go to Denver, Colorado. We're going to Kalkaska, Michigan, and have this be the new spot where people come for their festivals, or just to hang in a good crowd, check out the lounge, munch down some edibles. I think that is the future.
And as we move into that, are you finding that gearing up for it, this will be a tricky thing for law enforcement to handle, right? I mean, having a previously, illicit substance now being produced in the town, and how do we handle things with people that have been, partaking and driving per se, or if you have a lounge, and are those things that are conversations that are being had at the village level with law enforcement? Like, how are we going, as we embrace these new things, how do we adjust and adapt to these things coming into the town like that?
Yeah, and I don't think the adjustment's going to be that terrible. I mean, we've served liquor in this town for hundreds of years, and
Right.
that seems to go over just fine. I don't think that anybody needs to throw down the gauntlet because somebody's going to smoke a joint. And the same smart things that you do when you're having a cocktail, you have a driver, you have a friend, you call an Uber. Hey, let's get some Ubers in Kalkaska. What a great idea.
Yes.
I mean, I think that could be another, driving force for some more economic growth.
Another
I don't-
ancillary business right there.
Exactly, and I don't think that that's anything that we should be afraid of, for sure. And our local law force, so when I took over in early 18, there was one police officer, and now we have five, six, we'll probably have 8 by the end of the year, and a canine officer. And that has been mostly supported by the marijuana industry. So we're certainly looking to serve and protect and not punish and arrest, I think is the direct focus that we're
Sure.
going to look towards, just to make sure that everybody is safe. And if you see an unsafe situation, correct the situation. But the one thing I didn't want to see and kind of made it loudly known was that what we don't want to see is a spike in our arrests, a spike in the crime rate, because then people are going to think that that directly correlates with the cannabis industry coming to town. And although it doesn't, because we go from having 1 officer to 8 officers, clearly you're going to have more arrests. But we don't want to just go punishing people left and right. What we want to do is to serve and protect.
That's a good philosophy. I actually never thought of it that way, as far as like the more arrests, rate spiking, and then you hearing that in the media and they're talking about it, and then that's used against us. So that's
well,
awesome.
Ryan, we actually are part of the metric system, different metric system than y'all are part of.
Okay.
But it tracks the municipal finances and the arrests and all of those things. So I actually have a graph that I can see and follow. And the thing that I didn't want to see was 2019, a spike. And, I didn't want to see that. We had our first recreational shops open up last year. I didn't want to see a spike during that. Keep it mellow, and just keep everybody safe is the motto around here.
Did you see that spike?
No, we didn't.
Nice.
No,
All right.
more traffic tickets, and more citations for garbage in their yards. But no, luckily, actually, the sheriff's department actually saw a decrease in theirs. Maybe due to COVID, because nobody left their house. But it was good for me politically in that we brought cannabis to town and actually saw a decrease in the criminal activity. So good for us.
Well, I can see why
Yeah,
you'd see an increase in traffic stops, because 13,000 people or so drive through Kalkaska every day on average. And that's increasing, I believe, every year. Since I've been here, I've noticed a large increase in traffic and through town, and people coming up north and staying, and it's a beautiful thing. It's like we live in paradise up here, and people are starting to recognize that Kalkaska is a beautiful part of that whole progressive situation. I think it's great for everyone.
It is, and I think that the cannabis industry is going to help. We already had our grasp on the Hook and Bullet Club, so people would come up here and go fishing and hunting, and that's pretty well established. But as far as, biking and hiking the trails, even bird watching, more of the mellower activities, I think that if people are coming here for the cannabis, then they can go off and they can also enjoy maybe those more mellow activities as well.
Very cool. Hey, speaking of this and all the great things happening in Kalkaska, I know I was excited when I read that you guys got I believe it was a state grant for the square. Wondering how that's going, how that's coming along, and do you have any other major plans? The the fall tour, color tour. I know that has been put together that leaves in Kalkaska on the train. That's amazing. What else? What's else is in store for us?
Well, we have a couple of shops coming to town down on the main drag. A couple of the owners were able to actually obtain their buildings and redo those into better, more destination type shops for our local main drag. The square being built out, that was a over $4 million project. That's absolutely huge for the village of this size. And it has turned out a beautiful pavilion, seats about 250. And actually, it's COVID proof, which we didn't even know when we designed it. But it's got a series of garage doors on both sides, so we could open that up, and it actually counts as open air space and still offer covering for a band. It's got a commercial kitchen in it. We put in a beautiful food truck area, which can facilitate up to 6 food trucks. We'll probably have 3 permanent and then invite others in for festivals. A beautiful clock tower, so we now have a way to directly message everybody, those 15, 13,000 people that are drive by that clock tower. So any type of festival or activity or caution or warning or amber alert or whatever it is, we're going to have that flashing up and displaying on a daily basis, and people can always get that. Besides the fact that the whole space, it's very welcoming. It's just beautiful. A nice mellow spot to just go hang out. Several park benches, a nice tree planting, a nice open green area. It's really going to mean a lot for the community. Besides that, we do have plans to put in another pocket park in the upcoming months, more towards the center heart of the village, giving the opportunity for the hospital workers maybe to walk across the street and kind of mellow out and enjoy their time away on their lunch breaks, and families in the community to take their smaller kids to the swing sets. And it's just a lot of great things going on. I really don't have anything bad to say about Kalkaska since cannabis has come to town. It's been one improvement after another improvement, building on the local vibe, people's attitudes. People are just getting along better. It's really quite amazing.
But great positive benefits, right? If it's done right with the right intentions.
That is exactly right, Tom. Keeping the focus, keeping your head down, and not worrying about the naysayers all around, and not worrying about the 15 regulations that Traverse City just put out that are totally against the MRA, and getting sued, and all the bad lawsuits and all that going on. As long as we're just going slow, reading the regulations.
Well, I feel like we lost Harley there for a second, so maybe we'll just talk a little bit amongst ourselves. It sounds like he's sugarcoating it quite a bit. I mean, there's got to be all kinds of negative stuff. I mean, where is it? I'm confused, Tom. Tell me.
I guess the one thing with the increased patrol, there is there's more there's more patrolling by the police, which is good, but there's also a lot of checks, that happen too on employees sometimes too. But they're doing their job and making sure that they're keeping us safe, and that's the one thing I have noticed about the local law enforcement here, that they're very good about keeping their distance, but also keeping an eye on us, not in a bad way. They're looking out for us. And I was going to actually ask Harley about the Goodwill, how that has been received, on top of all of the taxation and the fees that come in from having us here, from all of the all the accessory stuff that happens around having cannabis here and bringing in jobs. And but there's a lot of goodwill that has been put forth by the cannabis community to Kalkaska. He mentioned the K9 unit, which was financed by cannabis business, and I believe it was All Green.
Yep.
And a lot of other things. There's a skate project, so we're trying to raise money for the kids' skate park in Kalkaska. They've there's a local group working to raise money, and there's matching funds for the group that can raise the money. And so there is an event coming up on March 31st I wanted to talk about, and it's a can drive, and it's actually sponsored by 42, our friends at 42 Degrees with Sam and everyone, and it's between 4:30 and 7 p.m. It's in Chalker Park, which is the park right next to where the skate park is going to be located, and it's actually right around the corner from all the industrial parks where all this is happening, and it's a great thing to see. You know, these are the things that can be done. These are the Oh, here he comes.
Have returned.
All right, Harley,
All right.
go for it, Tom. He was letting us know what a question he was going to ask, and it was a good one. So,
Oh yeah, just about the top, aside from the fees and all the money coming in, from that type of situation with the cannabis industry, but there's also been, goodwill from businesses, and I was wondering if you could kind of talk about some of that, the things that have happened above and beyond just the pure monetary bonuses of having, cannabis in your village.
Yeah. Well, one thing unique to Kalkaska is that we don't require any special things in our zoning. We don't make you go give money to local charities and donate a certain percentage or anything like that. But by the free will of the people in the cannabis industry, they've just offered up their services. Last year, the Pincana store got a hold of me, and we did a cleanup of the local park. And that was actually the first blending of the village with anything in the cannabis industry publicly. Clearly, we've been doing things in off to the side, and we have our little cannabis industry get-togethers and meetings that we had pre-COVID. But this was the first public appearance. So I was out there with Pincana, down in my Pincana hat, and we were out cleaning the park, and I blasted it all over all the social media sites for the village. Not one negative comment. And so we're going to do the same thing again this year. 42 Degrees up here, great processors. They're going to go ahead and with their 100 staff, I think they have now, they actually set up, we had a local donation going throughout the whole COVID period where you couldn't take back your cans. So bring your cans over to the park and we'll store them. And now we have thousands and thousands and thousands of cans ready to return. And they actually stepped up, and they're going to rent a couple of U-Hauls and volunteer their people. They contacted a local vendor that's going to shut down their area for bottle returns and strictly devote it to us returning the cans. That's going to our local skate park that we're hopefully going to have here in the near future. And also a couple have stepped up to volunteer to do a downtown cleanup as well as a local park cleanup in the spring, and offers up some cash for some refurbishing that needs to be done in the local park. So it's been great, absolutely great partnering up.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the grassroots guys in the cannabis industry, I think that they're, and I say guys, I mean guys and girls, there's, obviously everybody's inclusive in this, but I think that we have a very, very empathetic group of people that are more than willing to give back given the opportunity to do so. Some municipalities, they try to take 9 of every $10 that you make in administrative costs and expenses, and then they expect us somehow to take that $1 and put it back into the community. I think that it's great that Kalkaska has created an environment for these businesses to succeed, and in doing so, like you said, without force or through legislation, are they requiring people to donate money? But here you see people in the marijuana industry coming out of their own pocket and doing good things, and I think that's just awesome to see.
Yeah, looks like we lost Harley again, but I mean, that just goes to show what will happen if you just let something happen organically and in a positive manner, and don't make it a cash grab. It will come, and these are lessons learned, and Kalkaska has pioneered. I've seen it firsthand, and I'm super proud to be a part of it.
yeah, I think we're with that. I know we're starting to run short on time, and I can agree with that, Tom. Me and you worked together early on in Kalkaska. That's cool looking back on that now and that lot, and just going there early, and the way that not only Harley, but then there was Denny, Cash, Scott, and Jeff really handled this, and it's been a team effort up there, and it's they're taking the ball and running with it. So,
Yeah, the
any
vetting
final thought?
process. Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say the vetting process that we went through for our license with Kalkaska, I can tell you firsthand, there's no pay to play kind of shit happening. Pardon my French, but that's it's real. The way that they approached it, they vetted us, very completely, and in a way that they felt that they needed to have what the people that they want in their community, and it's awesome. It's definitely a positive way to do this. You don't have to make it into into a circus.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin?
I'm envious of Tom being up there in Kalkaska. I like my municipality just fine. They've done us really well, but I just absolutely love the feel of being up north in a community where you've got 100% support behind you guys. I think it's just really cool, and I look forward to potentially this summer getting up to the lounge, potentially Tom putting together some kind of festival. I'm stoked for all that stuff, and I can't wait to finally get there. Hopefully this COVID starts to get a little bit under control and we can kind of start to move around a little bit more. So I'm looking forward to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's super, super exciting. Tom, you're on mute.
Sorry, I noticed that. Oh, I just got a text from Harley. Just wanted to let us know their internet went down and they can't reconnect. So maybe we need to look into getting fiber over there to the village offices as our next
there you go.
as our next project, right?
Run it. No, I echo those sentiments. I was really excited to have Harley on, and everyone listening can tell how great it's working up there. I always thought that if you could take a smaller town that was in need of economic boost and bring in cannabis and watch what would happen, and all this stuff is happening. It's all positive. We've been preaching this in meetings for over a decade, and here's the proofs in the pudding. Anyone listening, you're going to hear a lot more stuff about Kalkaska. Traverse City missed the boat. A lot of those communities missed the boat, and they stuck their noses up at a lot of us and made it tough. And Kalkaska decided that they wanted good people in their community and cannabis, and it's exploding. So with that, way to go, Kalkaska. Thank you, Harley, for being on. Scott, everybody else over there, appreciate the great job you guys are doing and being an example for the rest of the state and also for the rest of the country. Really appreciate it. With that, we'll catch you guys next week. See ya.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care, guys.